Hello and welcome back to aud206. This is class 2, week 2, and we're going to start sound designing this project here. So the first thing that we need to look at before we dive into sound design is getting our materials. Adobe has provided everyone that owns Audition access to their sound effects library, which is a pretty good start. So under Help, there's a download sound effects and more option here. And this is going to take you to the Adobe website. You'll have to log in and then you can say agree. And then here under sound effects are all the zip archives. So some of them are pretty big. I believe when it's fully downloaded and extracted, it's about 16 and a half gigs or so. So there's quite a bit of files here. A lot of them are very good, very workable. It's a great start, and we will be using that to get started. So once these are downloaded, you can extract them on a local drive or external drive, however you want to use them. How I did it was under my media drive, I just created an Adobe folder, and then I have all the files here. And like I said, I think it's about 16 gig when it's fully extracted. Okay, so let's close out of Chrome here, go back to Audition. Okay, so under the media browser, this could be a decent way to work if you know where the files are. In my case, I put them in the Adobe folder here, and all the files are extracted, and you can grab the file, you can audition it here, and then you can drop it in your timeline right from here, if that's what you want to do. That's one way to work. I prefer to have a search engine associated with it, and unfortunately the media bay here does not have a search engine. So even though all the information that we need about the file is included in the file name, we still can't get to any kind of search, a way to search all that. And there's, I think about 10,000 effects in here. So until you get real familiar with it, it can take a while to find something that you might be looking for. So the next best thing is to use an outside application to do our search. And I'm going to use Bridge because most of you guys should have it if you have Audition. So we can go to Bridge. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a new Smart Collection. But first I'm going to select my Adobe folder and say New Smart Collection. And I'm going to say Look in Adobe, which is where all the media files are. And then say Document Type equals a WAV file. And then if any criteria are met, and then includes all subfolders as well. So we'll hit save. We can call this Adobe SFX. Okay, so this is Bridge as it's indexing all the files. You can audition a file here. If you want to set it up for a loop for a shorter effect, if it's a little annoying, you can turn it off. So you can also search in here. You can say dog. You can find all the dogs. The one thing I don't like about this is the thumbnail view, so I'll switch this to list mode. And now you can actually see the entire file name, which has all the information. So the one thing to keep in mind with working in Audition is you have to create a unique copy every time you load in a file. Otherwise, it's going to want to work off the original. And just to prove that, if I create a little space to work here, I didn't mean to do that. Scroll down here. If I grab this dog bark and drop it in. And if I immediately go to our waveform editor to start working on this, say even just, turn it down a couple dB, and if I save it, if I save the file, it's still referencing off of my media Adobe sound effects folder. It hasn't copied it into the project folder. And I can show you that just by showing the modify date changed on my original sound effects here. So that's not what we want. To avoid that, let me just remove this file from the project here. Go to go back to our session and take our dog out. But if I go to bridge and I find our dog, and we drop our dog in again, you can immediately go up to clip, create a unique copy. And then if I go to waveform and I modify this again, hit save, you'll see that the timestamp did not update because it put the file into our class02 audio files. So that's working how we want. It's just something to keep in mind when you're working with Audition. It doesn't automatically copy it into the project folder when you drag and drop from Bridge. But we got a search engine, which is what we want. So if we go back to multi-track, we don't need a dog in this. Maybe later, but definitely not for now. So I'm going to clean up the project a little bit before we get started with sound effects editing. I'm going to hold on to the guide audio here from the QuickTime just in case I need it later, but definitely crunch these guys down. I'm going to hold down Shift and drag this up to our other sound effects or voice track and get rid of this voice track. Say delete selected track, and then we have our beep track. We're going to be rebuilding these trailer sound effects, but if I go to clip and then say mute clip, we don't have to worry about this track becoming unmuted. We can also do the same for our clip over here, mute these down, and then the same for this guy, mute that file. So now we have our music, we have our voiceover, we have our beeps, and then we have the game sound effects here. And there's another file that's not mixed that I want to grab. So just say open. Under here, there's a no mix gameplay file. Multi-track. No mix. And say, yeah, I can convert it. All right, we could drop this down to 16 or so. Cool. All right. So now we need to make a few tracks for sound effects. So first I'm going to create our sound effects bus. We'll do the same thing that we did with the voice. We'll feed all the sound effects tracks into this sound effects bus. And just for my own sanity's sake, I'm going to put them all the same color. And then I'm going to create a new audio track. I think it's option A. Yeah. Make a few of them here. And then again, I'm going to change the color here to be the same so that at a visual glance, I know that these are sound effects tracks and that I can move the file amongst these tracks freely. I may need to create some more as well, but for the time being, this should be enough. And then I'm going to feed sound effects 1 into the sound effects bus. Effects bus and sound effects bus. Great. Cool. Sound effects is feeding the master, which is what we want. And then we still have our voice track feeding the master. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we need is a Eagle Man sound. And unfortunately, I don't think the Adobe library has any, but we can take a look. So check out all of our birds. And let's see if we can substitute for a hawk. No. There is a great website called freesound.org. And how Freesound works is if people create sounds or have sounds to share that are copyright free, or they wish to make them copyright free, you'll put them up here, and then you are free to use them. Some of them have different Creative Commons attributes, but for the most part, everything on here is free. Varying quality, which is okay in our case because this video kind of has that 8-bit video game feel to it. So we don't need super pristine quality here. So we can do a search for an eagle. And looks like right away I see this cinematic eagle cry. So we'll take a listen to that. Sounds great. Might even be the same one that they used previously. So to download it, you just grab the file, hit download. There it comes. And then in addition, I'm going to open it up. Downloads. It's the eagle cry. All right, and then again, if I drop this into here, instantly I'm going to want to convert it to a unique copy. Now, under keyboard shortcuts, you can actually save that as a shortcut. So I'm going to do convert to unique copy and say add Shift-C is an open one. And convert to copy, Shift-C makes sense to me. So I grabbed the wrong file, sorry. Here we go. It sounds very similar to this one. Let me just see if that is the same one. Yep. So maybe that's where they got it. So I kind of believe in the adage that everything should be customized. So even if you take a stock sound and modify it, it becomes custom for what you did for that project. Maybe just add a little bit of a fade in, fade out on the file. And then if you come over here to clip effects, you can stack some effects onto the clip here that don't apply to the whole track, just to the clip. And I might try an echo on here. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, I think that works okay. Kind of gives it a little different feel. So I'm going to see if I can clean up it just a touch. It sounds pretty lo-fi, which I guess is kind of the point, but punch up some of the highs here just to see what that sounds like. Let's scoop out a little bit of that 1K. Be pushing it a little too hard. Turn it off. Yeah, it just kind of cleans up some of those mids a little bit. Great. So that's a good start. So we need a nice hit at the front too. So we're getting a nice thud when we start. So if I go back to bridge, so do a search for explosion. Yeah, like that, nice and tight. Grab the thumbnail. Drop it in, instantly say Shift-C to create a unique copy. And then if you use the arrow keys left and right, you can find what frame this actually lands on. So, right there. Now I'm going to punch up this explosion some more. So I think the biggest thing I want is more of a thud punched up in there. So I'm going to go to the EQ, pretty much EQ, crank up our lows, bring down our highs some. I keep forgetting that this is in the 96. Turn down the output. Too much. Yeah. See if I can get any more of that. It's feeling pretty good. So say apply. All right, so save that. Go back to our multi-track session. All right. All right, so the next thing we need is a lead-in into that, and we can go back to our explosions again. Feels good. Okay, so to get a nice suck-in sound, for lack of a better term, create a unique copy, and then we'll go to waveform and go to clip or effects and reverse. So here's what it sounds like. So we just want that tail little bit there. So we'll go to multi-track. I'm going to slide in this guy just to the end. Create a new fade in. And if you, while you're holding down the fade, if you go up and down, you can change the curve of that. And drop this guy over here. So like I said, it's really quick. Just gets us in. So you can hear that little bit there. So turn this down just a little bit. So add it into our explosion. We may actually be able to cheat this just a little bit more. A couple of frames here. Cool. See how that works with our Eagle Man. All right, so the next thing I think it needs is a nice bass drop. And we can generate that ourselves. So I'll create a new file here. And for those that know me, know that I love the bass drop. And I try to put it in everything, so there shouldn't be a surprise here. So we'll call this a bass drop. Say okay, we'll go to waveform editor, and then under generator, there's that tone again. And yeah, let's keep it on triangle. So we can do a sweep frequency, and then you could say the start frequency is going to be like 400 hertz, and the end frequency is going to be 0 hertz. So now we should have a 10-second bass drop. which is too long. So we can change the duration here. Maybe a 3-second bass drop. Oh, it's 3 frames, sorry. All right, so it really comes in around 100. All right, that's too long. So let's try 1 second. It's feeling pretty good. All right, so maybe just a little longer. Let's try 2 seconds. Let's see, okay. Yeah, feels pretty good. So we'll go back to, let's save this into our audio files folder is good. And then say, okay, drop back to this. Take our bass drop. Right about there. Let's see how this fits. Solo that track. Let me just turn up some. All right, I feel like we need just a touch more of attack on that. I know I took off the attack of this, but I'm going to get one more piece for the actual hit. So I'm going to create some space, move that down there. Maybe need more tracks here in a second. So as you can see, I'm just building components that I see. I'm building parts as it looks like they need it. Let's see if they have a good door slam in here. Yeah, it's all right. I'm dropping our door. Shift C to create a unique copy. And I'll take this over to waveform here. Okay, so let's go to Effects, Time and Pitch, Stretch and Pitch. And if you enable this lock, stretch, and pitch, it does a resample of the file. It doesn't apply the algorithm. So it just maintains its integrity, I think, a little bit more, especially when you're trying to stretch stuff out a lot. So you'll hear that's just playing back the file slower, if that makes sense. So I think that's probably just a little too much. So let's try 300%. So here's 100% again, just for reference. So we can slow this down. Maybe not quite so much. Say apply. Give it a listen. That's really cool. So then let's give it a touch of distortion. It's interesting. All right, let's go with that. So we go back to our multi-track, and then we line up our hit here. Dismiss the warning. Make sure our peaks line up here. So let's give it a listen. Probably just need to turn it down some. Now, you'll probably notice that I allowed the audio file to clip. In this case, I think it's okay because I actually want some of that kind of gnarly distortion to come through. I'm looking for some of that bite. Let's give it a listen. I just want a little bit more of that. Okay. So next we need a huge explosion right there. Sounds pretty good. Put that one in. And then so let's create some more tracks. Option A. SFX 5. SFX 6 and SFX 7. Make them blue. We're going to route it out our sound effects bus again. And you'll see why I do this when we go to mix it. Having all these going to the same place allows me to process all the sound effects together in a good way, hopefully. Now we have... Yeah, it's not the right feel. Maybe more like a fire burst. I like that. Put some of that in there. We'll use some of that. And some of that. All right, so we need to create unique copies for these. Shift C, Shift C. Put our first frame here. You're probably going to guess what I'm going to do. Come back to our distortion module here. And then I'm going to go to EQ. Do a little smiley face on this. Punch up some of those highs. Again, I'm okay with the distortion. Apply. All right. Save that. I just need more of it. Where's our little whoosh here? All right. So we have another one. We can use the same effect again. Might just modify it a little bit. Copy and paste, and then that's where it starts. So I'm going to create a unique copy of this file, go into waveform, and I'm just going to change the pitch of it just a little bit, just to give it a little different variation from the first one. Human ear is really good at picking up repetition sounds. So even modifying it just a little bit gives it just a little unique, different flavor. So similar, you know, we're on the same team. We're just different players now. Same jersey, so to speak. So let's see how that works. All right. So we'll go to Razor. We don't need that crackling for that long. Let's see how that works. So it's going to warn you every time you do a processing. Cool. We can use our whoosh again as well. So copy and paste that. Drop that right there. Then also create a unique copy. Waveform. I'm just going to use the same setting again. It's 117%. Hit save. Go back to multi-track. So now we have two slightly different files here. All right, let's see how that's working with the music. So we got some ricochets that we need in there as well. Just need a couple more tracks. Put that guy there. You may think I'm crazy, but when you have 80 tracks of sound effects going, it's really easy to scroll up and down and then realize what part of the project you're in when you're flying through it, scrolling up and down. So let's get some ricochets in here. All right, so if you don't have a specific ricochet, you can improvise a little bit, and I'm going to grab these four or five metal impacts. There's 1, 2, 3, and 5. Create a unique copy for these. And I think we're going to need a couple more tracks. You can see I've given up on the track names, but I haven't given up on the colors. And then so these words come in like ricochets. So I'm just putting one every couple frames. Get my little razor tool out and trim these up. All right, so we can find out where those actual hits are by scrubbing through. There's one more there. Let's see if that's it. So now I'm just hearing the repetition of it all, so just kind of varying it up some in here. Something like that. All right, so the last thing I want to do, since we have 5 files here, I'm going to go to each one and brighten them up some. Go to EQ, parametric EQ. Let's give that a listen. Apply that, save it, and then go back. Do the same thing for this next one. Filter EQ, parametric. I'll go back to, I'll get rid of this. In fact, we'll go to waveform. EQ, parametric EQ. Sounds good. Save it. We'll track 2 more. Clips. Waveform, just save it. And the last one. All right. See that, multi-track. Let's give these a listen and see if so let's give these a listen. Yeah, we're just a little too busy here. Second there. Get rid of that one, and that one. Looks like we can get rid of all these. Let's see how that fits. That's a little funny. Add in some extra sounds to help them out. Guess we can extend these out just a little more. Now I understand that I EQ'd the hits, so that's why you're seeing a little bit of the bump where the EQ isn't translating over into the extension. I would probably go back and reprocess all these, but for this case, it's gonna be all right. All right, I'm hearing a repeat, so I'm gonna create a unique copy of this one. Go into waveform, and we'll pitch it up a little bit. Let's go to not too much. There you go. Save that in here, so that one sounds like a repeat to me. Do the same thing. It's a different file, so we can use the same shift. Push it back. All right, let's see how this sits with the rest of the. I may want to add in some little metal swipes. But... All right, getting close. So let's go back to here. Sword. More of a slash. These might work. There we go. And then, just like always, create a unique copy. So these last three are really on their own out here. So I'm talking about these little slashes in the picture here. So see how those line up? Yeah. Oops. So sometimes it's important to hear things in context. In this case, in my head, I already know that I'm going to add some reverb to these files. So I might just give myself a note here that I'm going to add some reverb to this track. So anything on this track gets applied some reverb. And I'll go to reverb. I learned last time that if it's red, it won't work. So try Studio Verb. I'm thinking like a medium plate. I think that's what I used on the dialogue. Anyway, so full dry. Let's see how that. Yeah. So people like reverb. It puts things in a place for you. I think it's a big part of sound design as well, creating a space for the effects. A lot of effects are very dry, very close. So this kind of helps you put them in the mix a little bit more. So here's without. This is with reverb. So you don't really get a sense of the edit either. Yeah. Oh, just because I can't leave something stock, I'm gonna waveform. I'm actually gonna pitch these down just a hair. Better. last one. So just make sure they didn't shift too far out. Dismiss these. So when you make a file longer, sometimes, especially where there's some dead space in here, your sync points drift a little bit. If I had clipped the file like I did here, so if this was trimmed up and then you do a time stretch, it won't move your start point. So a little tidbit for you. So let's try that. All right, so that's actually quite a bit of the components that are going to go into the rest of the piece, but I'm going to save that for the next class. So the next class, we're going to fill out the rest of the piece with sounds where we need them. Probably borrow quite a few of the ones from up here. We'll just repurpose them. And so we'll just repurpose some of these files further along down, modifying them as needed. And then in a couple weeks, we'll mix this thing down and make it really sing. As always, if you guys have any questions, please hit me up in the forums. Sorry, this was a little bit longer of a class, but I wanted to show you my thought process through kind of locating sounds of where stuff needs to be, and then kind of building it from, the tools that we have available to us. I'll just be upfront with you. I have a lot more sound effects than just the Audition stuff, but I didn't want to use those effects within the class. Not because I couldn't, I own the rights to them, but I wanted to show you how this is pretty approachable even with what's built in to Audition. I haven't used any third-party plugins yet, and I've only used the sound effects that are either free through freesound.org or are included with Audition. For the next piece, not the Broforce trailer, but the next, the MoGraph 210 piece, I will probably start tapping into some of those other sounds and other plugins, just to show you guys what's available out there. But for now, I wanted to get through this project, trying to only use what's available for free, so that anybody out there can get started without any financial investment. So anyway, I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.